$9,000 is the fine for the billionaire. The judge seemed frustrated today that he couldn't do more to silence Donald Trump with repeated violations of a gag order. He threatened jail time, or I believe incarceratory punishment is how he put it. We're not serious about a former president in jail, are we?
I mean, the logistical issues that would cause right there in New York is one thing. I mean, that would be a challenge I'm not sure that Justice Marchand would want to take on. But what we did see here is essentially Donald Trump has been, as he's wont to do, trying to call the bluff of the apparatus, right? He's known to try to bully witnesses, those who go against him as well. Consequences kind of be darned. Yeah. And right here we see essentially that the justice is saying, $9,000, as you put it, Joe, to a billionaire is maybe a drop in the bucket, but it's also a way for the justice to signal that he's not going to allow Trump to call his bluff. Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll wait and see. We're going to hear more on this on Thursday. And question as to whether or not there have been more counts of violating this gag order. In the meantime, though, Trump does have a day off in court, outside of court tomorrow. He's going to be visiting some pretty important swing states, Michigan and Wisconsin, not missing the one weekday opportunity, I guess, Mario, he has to campaign.
Yes, and he has to get out there, right? I mean, think about it. The former president, for the better part of the last couple of weeks, particularly today, has had to deal with salacious details about his personal life and the lengths that he had to go in order to keep them secret. While we haven't necessarily seen that hit show up in polls just yet, it has to be damaging to his campaign for this to continue. So, yes, we're seeing him go shore up relations in a place in the Midwest, right? Mm-hmm. In Michigan, Wisconsin, Waukesha, those places where he'll need to win in November.
I want to just circle back, Mario, to where we started this hour with the protests on campus at Columbia and, of course, a very concerted debate here that involves Republicans and Democrats. But on the presidential campaign trail, Joe Biden has really been feeling the criticism. They're trying to work on messaging in his campaign, as I'm sure you can speak to. Where does Donald Trump come down on this, and will we start hearing more from his campaign?
Well, Donald Trump right now, right, if your opponent, he's a political, I mean, listen, he was a reality star that made his way to the White House. He knows politics, he knows people. If you see your opponent struggling with an issue,
you just let
either
him go.
You amplify it or you let it go, right? Right now, Joe Biden is being boxed in. This is the second issue that he's being boxed in within his party in an election year, right? The other issue was immigration, where he was having issues with the left flank of his party. Right. Here's another one, and you're seeing him really deal with this existential crisis, both geopolitical and domestic. Mm-hmm.
All right, Bloomberg's Mario Parker, thank you so much. We do want to go back now to Bloomberg's Wendy Benjaminson, who was speaking to this idea that you're seeing a lot of fracturing, perhaps, or discord in how exactly campus protests should be handled. But we've seen a lot of fracturing, as I was mentioning, not just within the Democratic Party over this issue, but the Republican Party over other issues, which has led some like Marjorie Taylor Greene to say, I want the speaker out. We did hear, though, from Democrats today, Wendy, who said if she tries, they will table the motion. They will vote to protect him.
Exactly right. The Democrats this time seem to be indicating that they have had enough with the Marjorie Taylor Greene's camp-led chaos in the House. They did not vote to help Kevin McCarthy when he was ousted at all. It was every Democrat and a few Republicans enough to oust him. This time, the Democrats are saying, Mike Johnson worked with us. He did some, we got these bipartisan bills passed, including aid to Israel, aid to Ukraine, aid to Taiwan. And therefore, this time, we will save him. They added they will save him this time. That if Marjorie Taylor Greene persists in this quest to oust him, which very few Republicans, even in her own Freedom Caucus, want to see happen, that's it. Mike Johnson's on his own if it keeps going after this one time.
Marjorie Taylor Greene writes on X, I'm a big believer in recorded votes. So we're going to go through this one way or the other so she can get everybody on record.
I think she wants everybody to get on record for it, even though, and then who knows what she's going to do with that information. But, even former President Trump doesn't want her to pursue in this. It just isn't good branding, as Mario was talking about with Trump's, marketing ability. It's not good branding for the Republicans to keep doing this time after time after time, especially when Mike Johnson got something done.